Jitendra Pal Singh named India's ambassador to Israel. Envoy to assume office in Tel Aviv. As ceasefire pact between Israel and Hamas in Gaza gets underway, taking over from Sanjeev Singla, he will oversee revival of trade and defense ties. India has named Jitendra Pal Singh currently the point person for Iran and Pakistan as well as special envoy to Afghanistan as its next ambassador to Israel. Mr. Singh has held a number of important designations at the Ministry of External Affairs over the past 5 years. He assisted External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar as the Joint Secretary in the Minister's office and also headed the important Iran Pakistan Afghanistan IPA help desk at the MEA. He will take over as the Indian ambassador in Tel Aviv shortly, the MEA said. This change of guard comes at a crucial time during the Israel Hamas ceasefire in Gaza. India's previous envoy to Israel, Sanjeev Singla, has been appointed as the ambassador to Paris. On Saturday, Israeli forces and Hamas are due to conduct their second exchange of hostages and prisoners. This is a part of a three-phase, 3-month ceasefire that began on January 19, which has already seen the exchange of Israeli women by Hamas and 90 Palestinian women and children detained by Israel. India has welcomed the ceasefire, and Palestinian diplomats have expressed the hope that India will be involved in the future construction process. India will be involved in the future construction process. Mr. Singh's tenure in Tel Aviv is expected to be important in terms of bilateral defense and trade ties, but also a growing number of Indian workers are being sent to work on projects in Israel. If the ceasefire holds, New Delhi also hopes to revive multilateral engagements like the I2U2 with Israel, US, UAE, and the India Middle East Europe Economic Corridor, both of which have been virtually shelved since October 7, 2023. Terror attacks in Israel by Hamas and conflict that followed, taking nearly 50,000 lives. Mr. Singh's assignments during this time have included balancing India's relationship with Iran along with its ties with Israel during the standoff and exchange of missiles in 2024. He was also responsible for ensuring high-level engagements between India and Iran during a year in which Iran lost its president Ibrahim Raisi and foreign minister Amir Abdullahian inaugurated the new president Masoud Pezeshkian after an election. In addition, Mr. Singh, who served as a deputy high commissioner to Pakistan between 2014 and 2019, has managed tense ties with Pakistan for a decade, including a brief detente as Mr. Jaishankar traveled to Islamabad for Shanghai Cooperation Organization heads of governments meeting, the first visit is in nearly a decade. In Islamabad, Mr. Singh was present when Prime Minister Narendra Modi traveled to Lahore in 2015 and then handled the fallout of the Pathankot and Uri terror attacks as well as the Kulbhushan Jadhav case. Mr. Singh, who has steered India's tenuous engagement with the Taliban government for the past few years, attended the Doha talks that led to US-Taliban agreement. Following the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan in 2021, he is credited with negotiating the reopening of Indian technical mission in Kabul. China's refusal to sign water treaties worrying Khandu. Arunachal Pradesh Chief Minister Prem Khandu said China's refusal to enter into binding international water treaties and selective sharing of hydrological data have raised concerns in the northeast region. Arunachal Pradesh Chief Minister Prem Khandu said China's refusal to enter into binding international water treaties and selective sharing of hydrological data have raised concerns in the northeastern region. Speaking at the inaugural function of a seminar titled Environment and Security organized at the Assembly in Itanagar on Friday, he drew the attention of all stakeholders towards the Chinese plan to construct the world's largest hydropower project on the Yarlung Zangpo River, which enters the state as Siang and becomes the Brahmaputra in Assam before flowing into Bangladesh's Jamuna. In December, China confirmed plans to build a 60,000 megawatt dam close to the Arunachal Pradesh border in Tibet. Beijing claimed the hydroelectric project would have the minimal impact on Himalayan and sub-Himalayan regions. The dam will let China control the timing and volume of water flowing downstream, which can have a devastating effects during periods of low flow or drought. The mighty Siang or the Brahmaputra River will dry up during winters, disrupting life in the Siang Belt and the plains of Assam. On the other hand, sudden release of water from the dam could cause severe flooding downstream, displacing communities, destroying crops, and damaging infrastructure. Furthermore, the dam will alter the sediment flow, affecting agricultural lands that rely on the river's natural replenishment of nutrients. China's construction of the hydropower dam on the Yarlung-Zangpo River poses significant risk to the water security, ecology, and livelihoods of people downstream in Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, and Bangladesh. The potential disruption of water flow, flooding, and ecosystem degradation could have far-reaching consequences. Pawar didn't do anything for cooperatives as Union Agricultural Minister Shah. Bench led by CGI to hear former Haryana MLA's pleas on EVMs, Supreme Court declined petitions to scrap TDS framework. The Supreme Court refused to entertain a plea to scrap the tax deduction at source framework under the Income Tax Act, saying the system was prevalent in many countries. The bench, headed by Chief Justice of India Sanjeev Khanna, followed the advocate petitioner to approach the Delhi High Court. The petition sought to scrap the TDS system, calling it arbitrary and irrational and violative of various fundamental rights. It challenged the TDS framework under the Income Tax Act, which mandates deduction of tax at the time of payment by the payer and deposit with the Income Tax Department. The deducted amount is adjusted against the payer's tax liability. Pralay, India's first quasi-ballistic missile to be showcased at Republic Day Parade. The Defense DRDO is set to showcase Pralay, an indigenous short-range quasi-ballistic missile and indigenous short-range quasi-ballistic missile at the Republic Day Parade in New Delhi on Sunday. Meant for the Army and the Air Force, Pralay is the first ballistic missile in India's arsenal for conventional strikes. The Army's battle surveillance system Sanjay will also be a part of the parade. With range of 400 kilometers, Pralay adds to the BrahMos and Prahar missiles already in the inventory, giving the Indian military an option for standoff missile strikes across the border. It is meant for deployment across the line of control and line of actual control. The development trials of Pralay are over and it is now complete, officials said, noting that the Defense Ministry has already accorded the acceptance of necessity for its induction. The system features a twin launcher configuration mounted on an Ashok Leyland 12x12 high mobility vehicle as seen during the ongoing rehearsals for Republic Day Parade. In 2023, Defense Acquisition Council approved procurement of the Pralay tactical ballistic missiles with a range of 400 km and Nirbhay long-range subsonic land-cruise missiles with a range of 1000 km, both of which will give long-range conventional strike option for the Indian military. Put together, a few hundred missiles were approved for the procurement by the DAC, a new derivative of Nirbhay, which has been under development for over a decade now, has been flight tested recently and trials are underway. Hindu families must have 3 children VHP. UP Temple gets FCRA nod without request. Registration under FCRA 2010 is mandatory for NGOs and associations to receive foreign funds. Ashok Goswami, one of the temple priests, said he had no idea about the application of FCRA license and said that for the past several years the temple has been receiving donations from devotees living in foreign countries. Our temple is run through a committee which is formed by the Civil Judge Junior Division. Apart from Goswamis like us who own the temple property, we have many outsiders in the committee. I cannot comment on who applied for the FCRA license, but none of the priests applied for it. Mr. Goswami also said that the temple receives 3 types of funding. Firstly, devotees contribute directly to the priest. Second, donations arrive via checks or other digital payments. And third, contributions are made to the donation boxes kept in the temple. This looks like a conspiracy to bring a temple another controversy. Members of the Goswami committee have petitioned the Allahabad High Court against the state's proposal to build around the temple a corridor akin to Kashi Vishwanath Temple corridor to facilitate a smooth darshan for devotees. The state has submitted in the court that a corridor was necessary after the two devotees suffocated to death due to overcrowding inside the temple on the occasion of Janmashtami in 22. India Indonesia set to discuss Myanmar. The Myanmar issue has been the table of ASEAN since the military coup of February 21, and it is understood that the Indonesian president will continue the discussion on regional issues in Malaysia, which is the next destination after India. Close cooperation with friendly countries have been our priority to build a stronger and more prosperous region together. Met Adani Tata officials. Mr. Subianto had said his India visit would be used for strengthening cooperation in areas such as security, maritime, and digital technology development. Mr. Jaishankar, who met with the Indonesian leader on Friday afternoon, said the visit would help nurture the multifaceted bilateral ties between the two major countries that are bound by strong cultural and maritime links as well. Mirwais meets panel on Waqf bill, seeks meaningful talks. Hurriyat chairman Mirwais Umar Farooq, who is already a patron of Muttahida Majlis-e-Ulema, a grouping of 45 religious bodies. 10 opposition members on Waqf bill suspended. They question whether the report is being rushed in view of the upcoming Delhi elections. Chairperson Jagdambika Pal accuses the opposition members of unruly behavior. The opposition members of the Parliament's Joint Committee on Waqf Amendment Bill, who protested against the last-minute changes in the agenda of the meeting by chairperson and BJP leader Jagdambika Pal, was suspended on Friday. Hours later, in a letter to the Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla, the members complained that the sudden and surprising suspension came after Mr. Pal spoke to somebody over the phone during the meeting. PM has made up his mind to make rupee hit a century. Congress. Odisha tops Niti Fiscal Health Index, Chandigarh next best. Mineral-rich Odisha, Chhattisgarh, Goa have emerged as top achieving performers in Niti Aayog first fiscal health report. The report titled Fiscal Health 25 ranked states, covering 18 major states that drive the Indian economy in terms of their contribution to India's GDP, demography, total public expenditure. According to report, Punjab, Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal, and Kerala were the worst performing in fiscal health index. The report aims to evolve an understanding of fiscal health of the states, and it has listed Maharashtra, Uttar, and Telangana, Madhya Pradesh under the front runners category. As per the report released by 16th Finance Commission Chairman Arvind Panagaria, Odisha excelled in fiscal health with an overall index of 67.8. Referred to top 5 achievable states, Niti Aayog said the states have high per capita outlay of 4% GSDP, effective mobilization of non-tax revenue, are revenue surplus, and have low interest payments, which is up to 7% of revenue receipts. The government think tank said the front-runner states reported high total developmental expenditure, up to 73%, witnessed consistent growth in own tax revenue, had balanced fiscal management, and improved debt sustainability, with debt to GSDP of 24%. The report noted that aspirational states of Kerala, West Bengal, and Andhra Pradesh and Punjab are struggling to meet fiscal and revenue deficit targets, have low revenue mobilization, and witnessed witnessing a growing debt burden, with debt sustainability a concern in these states. As per the report, Odisha tops the debt index and debt sustainability rankings with better than average score under the quality of expenditure and revenue mobilization. Odisha has maintained low fiscal deficits, a good debt profile, and an above average capital outlay GSTP ratio. While Kerala and Punjab struggle with low quality of expenditure and debt sustainability, the report said West Bengal faces revenue mobilization and debt index issues. People with spinal muscular atrophy need centers' help. Study finds links between smartphone use and mental health of adolescents. Lanka revokes Adani power purchase deal on bribery charges. The proposed wind power plant was shrouded by charges of corruption. Sri Lanka has revoked a 24 power purchase pact with Adani Green Energy for a proposed wind power plant in Island's North Province following corruption allegations. The government revoked the power purchase agreement, but the project is not cancelled. A committee has been appointed to review the entire project. The Hindu sought a comment from Sri Lanka's Ministry of Power and Energy and is yet to receive a response. The development assumes significant amid President Anurag Kumara Dissanayike's pre-poll pledge to cancel the Adani project. We welcome foreign capital including from the private sector, but all investment should come through a fair tender process. If the government had gone for a fair tender process, we could have got it for half the price. He had not noted barely a fortnight before he assumed charge at the country's top office. On revocation of the agreement, a media spokesperson of Adani Group, the Sri Lankan cabinet decision on January 2 to re-evaluate the tariff approved in May 24 is part of a standard review process, particularly with the new government, to ensure that the terms align with the current priorities and energy policies. Adani remains committed to investing $1 billion, including transmission infrastructure, in Sri Lanka's green energy sector. The $442 billion project for two wind power projects in Mannar and Puran districts of northern Sri Lanka has remained contentious for the time it was approved by the Ranil Wickremesinghe administration in February 23. In May 24, his cabinet cleared a proposal to buy a plant power at 8.26 cents per kilowatt hour from Adani Green Energy. Proposal faced fierce opposition from environmentalists who feared the project would disrupt the crucial aviation corridor. Economists who found the rates exorbitant, and anti-corruption activists who pointed out to the absence of a fair tender mechanism. Adani hires law firms to review US indictment. Adani Group has appointed independent law firms to review the US indictment against its founder chairman Gautam Adani, his nephew, and another key executive in a $265 million bribery case. Flash PMI signals a jittery January for India Inc. Forex reserves hit a near 11-month low as rupee slides continues. Trump says he will reach out to Kim again, calls him smart guy. US President Donald Trump announced on Thursday his intention to reconnect with the North Korean leader Kim Jong Un, describing him as a smart guy. This follows from the previous meetings during the Trump's first term, which ultimately failed to produce the lasting agreement of North Korea's nuclear program. Hungary threatens to derail Russia's sanctions in Ukraine gas dispute. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban on Friday threatened to veto EU sanctions against Russia, linking his support to the reopening of gas pipeline through Ukraine. He has claimed sanctions harm Hungary's economy and urged EU leaders to pressure Ukraine to restore gas transit, which expired on New Year's Day. Lebanon troop pullout will continue beyond 60-day deadline. Israel announced on Friday that the withdrawal of its forces from southern Lebanon would continue beyond a 60-day period stipulated in November ceasefire. Saudi Arabia taps Hans Zimmer to rework its national anthem. Saudi Arabia has enlisted Oscar-winning composer Hans Zimmer to rework its national anthem as part of an image overhaul. Mr. Zimmer has agreed to the project's broad outlines, which include using different instruments. Discussions also covered the title Arabia and the soundtrack of the upcoming film. Hundreds of migrants arrested at Trump's deportation drive begins. Trump administration initiated what it calls the largest massive deportation operation in history. Kremlin urges Trump for nuclear disarmament talks. The Kremlin said on Friday it wants to resume nuclear disarmament talks with the United States as soon as possible. The said a day after President Donald Trump said he wanted the world to denuclearize. Negotiations between the world's two largest nuclear powers have been left at an impasse amid tensions over the Ukraine conflict. Moscow pulled out of the last remaining arms control agreement with Washington called the New START in 23. Moscow pulled out of the last remaining arms control agreement with Washington called the New START in 2023 amid a sharp deterioration in relations between the two countries. Both have indicated that they will unilaterally adhere to the warhead limits outlined in the treaty until 26, but they are yet to agree on a replacement, and talks have stalled for over months. We are interested in starting this negotiation process as soon as possible, Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said on Friday. The bail is in the Americans' court, who have stopped all substantive contacts. In remarks at Davos on Thursday, Mr. Trump said he would also want China involved in talks on nuclear arms control. China would have come along too. China also liked it, Mr. Trump said, warning that Beijing's nuclear arsenal would catch up on Washington at some point over the next 4 years or 4 or 5 years. So we want to see if we can denuclearize, and I think that's very possible. Mr. Putin has ramped up this nuclear rhetoric since sending troops into Ukraine in February 22, signing a decree last year. New START restricted the former Cold War rivals to a maximum of 1550 deployed warheads each. Jaffna restored in India built cultural centers name in Lanka. A strong backlash from politicians and intellectuals in Jaffna over renaming the India-built Jaffna Cultural Centre as Thiruvallur Cultural Centre has prompted Indian authorities to pull up yet another board, now calling the facility Jaffna Thiruvallur Cultural Centre. On January 18, Indian High Commission announced the renaming of Jaffna Cultural Centre as Thiruvallur Cultural Centre in honor of the great Tamil poet philosopher Thiruvallur. High Commissioner Santosh Jha and Sri Lanka's Minister of Buddhasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs Hindu said. Djokovic hints that he may have played his last Australian Open. The Indian Railways have to make concerted efforts to improve passenger safety. But there is another issue, ensuring that passengers do not face situations that cause them discomfiture or endanger the safety of their belongings. Very often, one finds reserved compartments being invaded by passengers who do not have reserved tickets. There are also vendors and vagrants who take advantage of the indifference of the railway staff. The plight of passengers in unreserved compartments is even worse. The authorities must ensure that every passenger has a happy and a safe journey. It is quite clear from the US President Donald Trump's pronouncement that executive decisions that he wants to run a US government like a business enterprise, but he should know that even business enterprises have what is called corporate social responsibility. Promoting the US as a world leader in every sense of the word requires its leader to play the role of a real global leader. He must also help multilateral organizations intended for the welfare of humanity and the environment to function in a harmonious manner. A report on the drama around the rescue of a tusker that had fallen into the well indicates growing friction in the man-wildlife relationship and shrinking sentient ethics. At the root of the problem lies deforestation, mining, poaching, agricultural expansion, climate change, dumping of waste in forest areas, and colonization among elephant corridors. We need to have a multifaceted solution, including widespread afforestation drives. Focusing on sustainable development, safeguarding elephant corridors, installing bee buzzers in fields, and roping in local people in conservation. It was shocking that there was vehement resistance by the local resistance, with the political leaders saying elephants should have been buried alive. People should be more cooperative during such critical situations. Had the elephant been human, would it have evoked the same cruel sentiments? People should not forget that elephants face dire situations due to human activities. 8 killed in Maharashtra ordnance factory blast, 5 injured in the explosion in Bhandara. SIT set up to ascertain cause of blast. Factory also forms inquiry team. NDRF rescuers avoid flash cutters as site has high energy plastic explosives. 538 arrested as US begins deportation operation. India-Indonesia set to discuss Myanmar conflict during talks. The raging conflict in Myanmar will be featured prominently in discussions between visiting Indonesian presidents Prabowo Subianto and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The inclusion of the prevailing scenario in Myanmar in the official agenda is significant as both India and Indonesia are trying to stitch up a dialogue process among various stakeholders in the conflict-torn Southeast Asian country. Sources mentioned that two sides will discuss several regional issues, including the tensions around the South China Sea during the official talks that will be held in Hyderabad House on Saturday. India recently hosted a number of ethnic armed organizations from Myanmar as well as members of the exiled National Unity Government. India hosted them at the Indian Council of World Affairs soon after Indonesia also hosted such groups. The chain of engagement indicated that both the countries are trying to establish dialogue between the military junta in Nopite and ethnic armed organizations that have captured large accounts of territory of Myanmar, including vast tracts of land near its borders. The situation in Myanmar has escalated over the last year, with military junta losing control over the areas in Chin state. UP Temple gets FCRA nod without request. Bihar Chief Minister honors Olympians, Paralympian stars. Tribal women killed in tiger attack in Wayanad. Resident stage protest. MP to be alcohol free as CM bans liquor in 17 religious places. Decision is a part of government plans to impose prohibition in state. Yadav's previous ban on liquor in 5 km radius of Narmada to continue. Ambedkar Varsity in Mau to be developed as a center of excellence. The Madhya Pradesh government on Friday decided to ban liquor in 17 cities, towns, and villages of religious significance across the state. The Chief Minister Mohan Yadav announced after the state cabinet meeting held in Khargone district in Mahabaleshwar. Addressing the media after the meeting, Mr. Yadav said the decision was part of government's plan to impose a liquor ban across the state. We have decided that state will move towards a liquor ban gradually, and in this regard we have taken the policy decision that in the first phase liquor shops will be shut down permanently in 17 Nagar Paliks, Nagar Parishads and Nagar Panchayats. The list includes Ujjain Municipal Corporation, 6 municipalities Datia, Maihar, Mandla, Multai, Panda and Mandsaur, 6 Nagar Panchayats Amarkantak, Omkareshwar, Maheshwar, Mandleshwar, Orsha and Chitrakoot. The list includes Ujjain Municipal Corporation, 6 municipalities Datia, Maihar, Mandla, Multai, Panda, Multai, Manda, Mandsaur, 6 Nagar Panchayats अमरकंटक ओमकारेश्वर माहेश्वर मंडलेश्वर, अमरकंटक ओमकारेश्वर महेश्वर मंडलेश्वर, ओरछा and चित्रकूट, अमरकंटक ओमकारेश्वर महेश्वर मंडलेश्वर, ओमकारेश्वर महेश्वर मंडलेश्वर, ओरछा and चित्रकूट. Mr. Yadav also said that government's previous policy of liquor ban in the 5 kilometer radius on both sides of the banks of the Nawabs will continue. Later in the day, the Chief Minister, while addressing an event in Maheshwar, said liquor was equivalent to curse in families in the state and that women have to deal with men who come home drunk. This is a policy decision. We are not just saying but from April 1 of the coming financial year, no liquor shop will be found functioning in these areas and gradually will be moved ahead and close down more shops. Cabinet also approved 25 crore to establish a law department at the B.R. Ambedkar University of Social Sciences, Mhow, the birthplace of the architect of the Constitution. Mr. Yadav also said the university will develop as a center of excellence. On January 23, CM has inaugurated a flyover in Bhopal and named it after Ambedkar. The two decisions assume uh, significance as they come just days after Congress rally in Mhow, Jan 27, where the opposition party plans to launch its Jai Bapu Jai Bhim Jai Samvidhan campaign. Row over JNK government order asking students to attend APBP rally. JNK party Islam NCM member over remark on Pandits. Lokayukta police submit Muda case report to ADGP. West Bengal expired saline case. BJP takes skin of survivor to Raj Bhavan. ICMR conducts study on use of life jackets in Tamil Nadu, Kerala. Authorities have cancelled all leaves of doctors and paramedics in the wake of medical alert following death of 17 people at Badhal village in Jammu and Kashmir's Rajouri district. ISRO gearing of its 100th launch from Sriharikota on January 29. Which is scheduled to take place on January 29 with the launch of GSLV F-15 NVS-2 mission. GSLV F-15 NVS-02 mission. The GSLV F-15 with indigenous cryogenic stage will place NVS-2 NVS-02 satellite in a geosynchronous transfer orbit. The GSLV-15 with an indigenous cryogenic state will place the NVS-02 satellites in the geosynchronous transfer orbit. The launch is scheduled to take place from a Spaceport's second launch pad. The NVS-02 is the second satellite in the NVS series and the part of India's Navik. NVS-02. According to ISRO, Navik is India's independent regional navigation satellite system designed to provide accurate position, velocity and timing service to users in India, and region is extending beyond 1500 km beyond the Indian landmass, which is primary service area. Navik provides two types of services: standard positioning service and restricted service. Navik SPS provides a position accuracy of better than 20 meters and timing accuracy of better than 40 nanoseconds over the primary service area. 5. Second generation Navik satellites NVS 012345 are envisaged to augment the Navik base large layer constellation with enhanced feature to ensure continuity of services. Navik provides two types of services: standard positioning service and restricted service. Navik SPS provides better accuracy of better than 20 meters and timing accuracy of better than 40 nanoseconds over the primary service area. 5 second generation Navik satellites are envisaged uh, to augment the Navik base layer constellation. So that's all for today. See you in the next one.